Start 10-year
Oh, yeah.
anniversary from first time we got together.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you'd like to take your seats, we can get started here. Welcome. My name is Jasper Dent. I'm the event coordinator here at McNally Robinson Booksellers in Saskatoon. I'd like to start by acknowledging this event is being held on Treaty 6 territory. This is the land of the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota, and homeland of the Métis. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the launch of Love, Julie by Jamie Anderson. Big thank you to Jamie for being here today and for reaching out and working with us to make this event happen. I'd just like to note that this event is being live streamed, so we've got a camera up to the right here, just be aware of it. It'll be focused on Jamie, not on the audience, but it will pick up if your phone rings during the event. So now is a great time to silence that or check that you did silence it. Excellent. Now the reason that you're all here. Jamie Anderson is based in Regina, Saskatchewan, so thank you for making the drive to come to Saskatoon today. A proud Canadian and Saskatchewanian, she wanted to set her first 2 novels in the place where she was born and raised. She's been writing for as long as she can remember and has been reading for longer than that. She lives happily with her mountain of books, her TV, and her 5 plants. You know you care about them individually when you've numbered the plants, yeah. I will now turn things over to Jamie. Everyone, please give her a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Jasper. Thank you everyone for coming, especially the 2 people who aren't my family. I appreciate it. So this book, Love, Julie, is second. It's a series, it could be a series, but it's the same characters, but you can read it as a standalone. So the scene that I'm going to be reading is the first book is all about Julie's best friend, Kate, and Kate trying to find someone to love her. It's called Someone to Kiss. So it's all about her online dating adventures and stuff like that in her 40s. So this book, Kate, spoiler alert, found someone in the first book, and Julie is helping Kate plan her wedding. Julie is a recovering alcoholic, and she's planning the wedding because she thinks it will help her get her mind off trying not to drink. And unfortunately, the man who has volunteered to help her is someone that she doesn't really like. So if you're familiar with the romance tropes, this is kind of a grumpy sunshine trope. And in this chapter, Julie is very much the grumpy and Luke is the sunshine. So they're meeting for their first time to start planning the wedding. And then it goes into a little bit of Julie going to her, she tried AA, she didn't really like it. So she's going to this kind of support group, and she calls it the group. So that's the second half. And there's swears. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to say them, but sometimes they just pop. Okay. I was in my late teens when Gwyneth Paltrow and Brad Pitt dated. Along with many people, I barely remember this happening, but I have a surprisingly accurate recollection of one thing: what she was wearing when they attended the Oscars in 1996. A gorgeous white slip dress that hung on her perfectly, at once both sexy and glamorous. While Kate cut out pictures of puffy princess gowns with capped sleeves and winding trains to slip into her wedding binder, I coveted the simplicity of the slip dress. Kate envisioned herself getting married as Cinderella, but when I thought of my wedding, I wanted to be Gwyneth Paltrow. Now, on the rare occasions when I thought of weddings, they did not feature me in a slip dress, or any dress for that matter. Now weddings were just events that needed to be attended. Parties where I tried to determine how long a couple would stay together based on the length of their tedious speeches. Which is why no one was more shocked than I was when I volunteered to help plan one. I knew in my heart that Ben and Kate would defy the odds, that their love would last forever, but I was probably the last person who should have been planning that event that would send them on their journey. And knowing that I was planning it with Mr. Cheerful Pants didn't make getting out of bed on Sunday morning to go meet him any easier. But I wasn't doing this for fun. I was doing it for Ben and Kate, and I was doing it to prove that I could. So after a solid 10-minute pep talk, I forced myself out of bed and got ready to go meet Luke. Kate had organized the first wedding planning meeting, and I was grateful she picked a Starbucks. At least I would be drinking good coffee while I needed my life. Pumpkin spice latte season had started early this year, and while out loud I scorned the pumpkin spice lovers of the world, inside my soul I secretly was one. I looked at the glass door, peering in, trying to see if Luke had arrived. The trademark Starbucks smell made my mouth water, but I was still not super eager to go inside. Hey there! I jumped and spun around to face Luke's giant grin. I put my hand on my heart. Geez, you scared the crap out of me. He laughed. Sorry, I may be big, but I'm also super stealthy, like a ninja. His hands karate chopped the air between us. Are you going to go in or just stand outside? I opened the door with a sweeping gesture. After you. He walked in with a spring in his step. Nice, I didn't know pumpkin spice season started in August. He beamed. I'll have a grande pumpkin spice latte, extra whip, he said to the barista, and then turned back to me. Can I get you one? Sure, I said, secretly pleased that I didn't have to pay for my expensive treat. No whip on mine, though. He held his hand up when I did the obligatory reach into my purse for my wallet. I nodded a thank you and sat down at a nearby table. He walked over to wait for the coffees, his navy soccer shorts cheerfully swishing. I peered at him through my eyelashes as he shoved his hands into his pockets. I mean, I wasn't dressed up by any means, but at least I'd made a bit of an effort with my teal polka dot dress. It wasn't like he'd just come from the gym. He certainly didn't look like an athlete. He sure was friendly, though. He spent another 5 minutes chatting with the barista after our coffees were ready. Were we going to be here all day? Sorry about that. He sat down and took a sip of his coffee. It turns out I went to high school with her sister in Toronto. Small world, eh? Saskatchewan is relatively small, I grumped as I sipped my coffee. Everyone is connected somehow. I refused to buy into his cheerful attitude. Right you are. And he clearly refused to be taken down by my crappy one. So he leaned in, narrowly missing a sticky gob of something in the center of the table. Aside from planning weddings, what do you like to do for fun? And there it was. I had been wondering when he was going to ask me out. I'd been doing my best to make it clear that I was only here to get the job done, but I guess Luke was just like any other man. First of all, planning weddings isn't really my idea of fun. And secondly, sorry, but I'm not interested. I sipped my coffee and forced a smile. He tilted his head in confusion. Interested in what? Doing things for fun? Listen, I jumped right in with my standard spiel. I'm sure you're great and everything. You seem very unique, but I'm not interested in dating at the moment. He looked absolutely clueless for half a second and then burst out laughing. Oh, you thought I was asking you out? He said after he calmed down. No, sorry. You misunderstood. I was just trying to get to know you better because we'll be working so closely together. Oh. Oh, I said, flipping my hair back. Well, good. Good, he grinned like I didn't just embarrass myself. I'm glad we got that cleared up. Now let's talk wedding. Question though, if you don't like planning weddings, then why are you helping plan this one? I sighed, not wanting to reveal that planning this wedding was basically my lifeline. I'm doing it for Ben and Kate, I said, so they won't be stressed out. Makes sense. That's very kind of you. He pulled out his laptop and flipped up a lid to reveal a sticker that said, Good vibes only. Good Lord, I said softly. Cool, hey, he turned it around so he could admire it. My friend gave it to me, the one I was with when we first met at the AA meeting. He makes them, to keep his mind off things. Is that why you were at the meeting? I asked, to help your friend. He nodded. I find it rewarding to help those who are close to me. I nodded in return, unsure of what to say. Luke appeared to be very good at expressing his feelings, something I was not able to do as easily. By the time we finished our coffees, we'd gone over a list of potential venues, prioritized by need and then by price, and had made a good start on a guest list to send to Ben and Kate for review. Both of them had been sporadically texting me names throughout the week, and while Luke was giving me his thoughts on gift registries, I compiled them all in a Word document. I was pretty proud of myself. Luke knew a graphic designer who worked at a print shop, so we chose some sample invitation designs for Ben and Kate to look at as well. Excuse me. Spence, what's going on? Okay. Luke knew a graphic designer who worked at a print shop, so we chose some sample invitation designs for Ben and Kate to look at as well. Before I knew it, 2 hours had gone by, and we'd accomplished quite a bit. I didn't want to admit it, but I wouldn't have done that much on my own in 2 hours. I probably wouldn't have done that much in 2 weeks. I guess having Luke help hadn't been such a bad idea after all. That was a great planning session, he said when we were finished, closing his laptop with a satisfied grin. This wedding is going to be epic. Epic. You still sit epic. I stood up and grabbed my purse as he slid his laptop into a puffy red case. Thanks for coming, Julie. He reached out his hand like we just settled an important business transaction, and I shook it half-heartedly. I know I wasn't your first choice for co-wedding planner. It wasn't that it was you, I lied. I had just thought I was going to be planning it by myself. He nodded as if he completely understood. I hear ya, he said, but I appreciate you letting me help. I love stuff like this. I'm used to planning construction projects. It's nice to be able to do something fun. Well, if this is your idea of fun, you're welcome to it. I pushed my chair in. Seems like you're good at it, I added. Luke gasped and I jumped. What? I said, looking around anxiously. Did a bird fly into the window? Did Starbucks run out of oat milk? He put his hand on his chest in mock astonishment. Did you just compliment me? He asked with a twinkle in his eye. Don't get used to it. I tried to hide the smile that was tugging at the corners of my lips. We said our goodbyes in the parking lot and made plans to meet back at the same Starbucks in a week, our office, he called it. And of course, we both had homework. We each had to contact 5 venues on the list and inquire about availability and cost, something I had already started to feel anxious about. I needed this wedding to be a complete success, which meant starting with the perfect location. It was already less than a year until the wedding. I really hoped we hadn't left it too late. After I left Starbucks, all I wanted was a drink. I longed for the buzzy comfort, thoughts hiding in the cloudy residue, tension draining from my body with every sip. In the past, I would have easily given in to the temptation, but now, whenever I felt that way, I knew I needed to stop those thoughts in their tracks. So, Sunday night, I went back to group. I quietly slipped in after everyone had sat down. The plastic folding chairs were arranged into a not quite circle, and Corey was getting ready to start. She smiled and winked as I joined, her hands stuffed casually in the back pockets of her loose-fitting sweatpants. Someone had propped open a couple of windows, and the room, while usually hot and stuffy, was actually a comfortable temperature. The sweetness of the end of summer evening wafted in, masking the stale old building smell. My shoulders relaxed, and the tension started to dissipate. Okay, everyone, Corey clapped her hands together. Tonight I'd like you to think about who you're here for, and if you're comfortable, share that with the group. I hope, above all, you're here for yourself, but there is no wrong answer. As long as you're here, that's all that matters. The room went silent. Everyone looked at the floor, at the walls, anywhere but at Corey or one another. She smiled and looked around the room. Anyone? I shifted in my chair. Julie, great, she said. No, I was just... Go ahead, she said gently. This is a safe place. Well, I started. I wasn't used to this, being uncomfortable in front of other people. I was always the extrovert, the center of attention, the life of the party. Opening up was harder than I thought without the comfort of a medium booze buzz. I'm here because I fell off the wagon almost 2 months ago. I glanced around, still somehow expecting judgment, despite the genuine friendly smiles and faces alert with encouragement. Before that, I was sober for 7 months. I paused among the murmurs of support. Until I mistakenly thought I could have a drink at my brother and best friend's engagement party. When Ben and Kate had announced their engagement, I'd been as thrilled as anyone. I'd known it was coming. They were perfect for each other. So who could blame me when I wanted to have a glass of champagne to celebrate? I'd been sober for 7 months. I knew what I was getting into. I thought I could handle it, I said, remembering saying the same thing to Ben and Kate as they both looked anywhere but at my face, Ben's hand on his neck, Kate's expression somber. I thought I'd conquered my demons. I knew my limits. I could totally drink casually now, you know, I said to the room. They knew. Turned out I couldn't. The first sip was pure bliss, the tang of alcohol on my tongue, the fuzzy warmth in my stomach. My whole body relaxed. I was finally able to breathe again. I tried to have only one, but that glorious feeling, the heightened joy, the crystal clarity, the comforting glow, if I felt this way after one, I would surely feel even better after two. And then I'd stop. Once I'd hit the peak of boozy nirvana, I'd allow myself to gently float back down. 2 glasses of champagne had turned into 3, which had then turned into who knows how many, as I continued my one-person party by sneaking sips or finishing off bottles when people weren't looking, or at least when I thought they weren't looking. And as anyone who has ever had a drinking problem knows, I continued to explain to a room full of people who surely did. Once you hit that peak, you've already passed the point of no return. The more you chase the joy, the more elusive it becomes. And then, before you know it, it's gone, and you're alone and miserable, and all you want to do is lie down and close your eyes and sleep for days, until the nausea stops, until the spinning subsides, until everyone stops looking at you like they've just eaten a bad piece of shrimp. After being sober for 7 months, I couldn't hold my alcohol, and I couldn't hide it like I used to. But more importantly, I didn't want to hide it. When Kate found me in the bathroom at the engagement party, splashing my face with water, wiping the mascara off with a paper towel, I didn't lie. I didn't say I'd eaten something bad. I didn't suggest that maybe I had the flu. All I said was sorry, and I let Ben carry me to the car, and I let them take me home. Any questions?
Who's gonna read the rest of that book to me?
Well, I can read it online to you in chapters.
Guess it's up to you.
That was awesome.
When did you start writing
It like in general or this book?
in general?
I've been writing probably since I was a kid. My mom is a writer. She writes poetry. And so when I was a kid, my mom was always writing. So I thought that was really cool. And so I started writing. And I've always been a huge reader because my mom and dad both read a lot and encouraged me to read. And I started probably 5 or 6 years old. I was writing little things, and I always remember I was starting little books in a notepad, and I never finished things. So it was 2 chapters, and I'd be done. And throughout school, I loved creative writing. I loved English, and when I got older, I started writing a blog. So my first book's kind of based on a blog that I was writing called Seven Dishes for New Year's. So yeah, a long time, but it took me my first book I wrote during COVID, so it took me a long time to actually finish a book.
Taking this one, did this one come up as you were thinking of the first one, or when you were writing the first book?
It actually came after. So I really enjoyed writing. Like she's in the first book, and I really enjoyed writing her. Like she was my favorite. Even though Kate was kind of me, I really liked writing Julie. So Julie in the second book is more me. She's still the same kind of character, but there's a lot of me in there. And so I wrote the first book, and my publisher wanted to do a second. And a lot of people were saying how they really liked the character Julie. So I decided to write more about Julie, and I wanted to I like the romance genre, but I wanted to write like a bit of a serious side. So I wanted to explore, like she was an alcoholic in the first book, so I wanted to explore that and explore what it would have been like to stop. So it took me about, I would say, a year and a half, I think, to write this one. I think it took me 2 years to write the first one and about a year and a half, like from beginning to publishing.
So your process for writing, did you do all the research, or did you know somebody that was an alcoholic who was quitting so that you could kind of draw on that knowledge, or did you go and research and then start writing your book?
So I struggled with drinking when I was younger. So I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was a binge drinker. I drank very much like Julie drank. And so I went through the process of trying to stop doing that. And so that's where I did a bit of research. I had actually attended an AA meeting like decades ago, but I had attended one. But my process kind of trying to figure out like why I did and how to just like have a couple drinks and be fine with it took me like a long, long time. So I used that, my personal stories to, get the
So are you part of a writers group then?
I'm part sort of like I want to be. I'm part of the Saskatchewan Writers Group. I don't participate as often as I'd like to, but I'm trying to find a writers group now. Like I talk to writers on social media, sort of, not as much as I would like to, but yeah, I am. I'd like to be more involved in the Saskatchewan Writers. I think it's called the Saskatchewan Writers Guild or Saskatchewan Writers. Yeah, so I'm trying to be more like participate more.
Romance writers group that I think is somewhere around Saskatoon, Humboldt, Munster area.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember what sort of was involved. I just remember seeing something someplace that they had workshop or retreat or something.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. My next book's gonna be a thriller, but I'm not saying that I won't go back to romance ever, because I did enjoy reading. Yeah, I'll take a look.
So with Someone to Kiss, I found it, it made me laugh a lot. And is Love Julie along the same vein? Like, it made me laugh and it also made it stung my eyes somehow. It made them water a little.
It is, I didn't read a very funny part, but I hope that it is, like, that was my intention, to make Love Julie funny as well, like, kind of have that underlying humor.
Yeah, I really enjoy that in your style of writing. That was,
Well, thank you.
and probably the first romance I ever read.
I'm glad it was mine. Mom, Dad.
I'm just opening it all up.
Okay. Now what do I do?
We can move on to the signing and chatting portion if you'd
Okay.
like. Okay.
I did some signing, but yeah, I'll
Yep.
sit over here if anyone wants to sign.
I got Jamie to sign it already.
Yeah, if you don't have a signed copy and you would like to get one, and you're welcome to get your book signed before you purchase it, just please remember to stop by the cash desk on the way out. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead. Go ahead.